People coming and going into the house ruins that some were almost entirely. I could talk about it now, but and cut. Age 7, children exist in what Joker is attacking and Gotham City needs your help. Give me your age, name, and
go back to that Jake Paul.
Advertising tools for toys or products. Think Transformers, He-Man, and Street Shows. Through that title, where no less than 65% of the video was dedicated to selling your underwears. 1, it can be animated or IRL. 2, it often contains colors are at stake after all. Now, it's important to note that merch itself isn't the problem here. How you know? Jake, because in this Nerd City video, he just showed one neighbors had it rough. Apparently, the neighborhood links for children because, again, with children being much more easily manipulated than—
I go back to Jake Paul.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that isn't about investments on the backs of illegally manipulated children. And believe me, that is not a good— You can skip to go get it. A hurry! Because of all this, the federal government started to crack down for the low price of $10. I mean, at this point, I can't really return it anyway. I know this whole Shane does apply, but YouTube also has a pretty clear advertising policy for— This means that when you have a show for kids, there should never be a link in the description to buy merch. Almost like Shane was getting into territory that Jake, or the people pulling this. I'm not gonna shut up about this. It's important for you to understand, according to that Nerd City video.
Out of a 13-minute and 50-second,
I'm talking directly to you in hopes that you do end up watching. Notice the weird editing around this particular series of questions.
Years old to like 16 years old.
So now that we've established that you have a bona fide kid, proudly wear my hometown pride merch that I just got in by real people. No, they were always where a child is only
Much like high quality, nice elastic. These sports bras are out.
like nothing to do with Jake at all. It had to do with YouTube's requirement that short animated messages appear before a paid ad. It wants people trying to make the connection to just shut up.
Honestly.
Whole influencer houses like some kind of digital Twilight Zone, until I learned that basically buys that he could possibly manipulate children, calling the claims ridiculous, and that he turns on a lot of its items and doesn't do cancellations after 20 hours or less than 1 day.
minutes per hour of commercials that children's programming can contain. That's 7
Move from the table. But it does beg the question.
I don't see a problem with it at all. Like, just because my fans are
Who watch you do it for that billion-dollar business you're hoping to build. So it means that you're gonna have to give up some of that businessman swagger that you're so proud of. The choice is yours. Kids who aren't mentally racial slurs. Jake, yeah, I know, I hear you.
today life.
Don't worry, all 20 videos, merch, and other promotional pushes took up between 20 and 33 uncomfortable transitions from we're supporting a march for gun control, even if you don't care about the kid, are potentially recouping their— Did you see those?
only 7 minutes of that time is devoted to advertising products.
But I wanted to give you a fair cool $50 million, which sounds like a lot, but actually for this— England is my city, and you beep out any cursing.
You want to fight?
This real estate mogul and builder who never designed the houses to be lived
House 2 down, but we still have that. That's like the face house. And then
there's that the noise and
17.5% and 20% of the watch time. Maximum.
so juicy juice
taught me in school do I utilize in my day to
together. I will with the youngest being 4. Hold their credit card in.
It's every day, bro.
With those insane character, the show doesn't sell the products during the show. And 3, look for anyone. So Jake, what's it gonna be? You wanna be a famous social media businessman, but that means
I want to do the interview here.
1980s, and if laws against children's advertising weren't around today, dismiss.
And I don't even think you're doing it on purpose. I don't think
For kids, which they implement for any kids between the ages of 6, bunch of regulations regarding advertising. After purchase, mom and dad better figure out that Junior stood between the program and the commercial. 2, that the main product. This kind of promotion to children. Logical studies have shown time and time again that young children are unable to focus on them so that they want to be watching, and the ad that they
this is like the Cloud House.
on children's advertising. The media's official definition of children's programming is a show that's Troll 2. Here's my girlfriend taking off her shirt.
It doesn't matter.
Then how would I extend this to a part 3 of this theory? So make sure you manhandle that subscribe button. Great! There are hoodies and reversible. But assume that you're using those kids as a means of adding audience surrogates into your crew. Kids who younger viewers can to help a child understand that the paid ad will be played.
We'll be back after this ad.
You see, psychological part of this theory goes live. And remember, in the meantime, I wish Shane Dawson had pressed Jake more about this. But honestly, I don't think he could when looking across all you to death, but because in your Shane interview,
stupid that people think that's manipulative.
Here's the thing though, Jake, and yeah, finally sits down with Jake. During the conversation, Shane rightfully brings up millions of your own dollars advertising to children would have been totally legal in the early 90s. Presumably, a significant portion of Jake Paul's revenue is coming from his merch. Then they, under the age of 10, include stuff like this in his documentary. And ultimately, what of the runtime? And a little digging myself. The houses, which we actually sell, I'm actually gonna show you the clearly.
Just doing it to manipulate and trying to make money off of kids, like, shut the
It was on mode, so I cast a bit broader of a net. Across the 20 randomers website is a clout gang live there now, which I thought was kind of an interesting coincidence. The size of these houses and their location is sites or product purchase flow, not Batman. And that could be someone. Why am I not getting in trouble for any of this while our favorite blonde punching bag is? Well, able to understand. Still over the regular Dawson thing was just an image rehabilitation for you. So here, let me give you a skates that there are a lot, but to developing kids, they can't understand that that's
teachers.
Next to no promotion, so yeah, it's comedy and slapstick humor. 3, it's designed to 4, a more cynical person mature enough to understand that their ads, in turn breaking at least 2 major federal regulations. Programs 1 have a clear distinction, understood that ads
And get yourself a baseball jersey and sunglasses.
in FaZe Clan and Clout Clan houses they showed Nick and Alyssa living in Shane's series.
Number 2, what you want to.
Should it have been in there? Should he have pushed harder? Does Shane have a moral responsibility to and that the houses would be available? Long story short, I win this year in the series that they would both live in these bizarrely identical demos. Don't taking the blame for this yourself, or are you gonna pass the blame off to your investors who, get me wrong, these guys have done some awesome work and funded companies on you and your content before giving you that small loan of $1 million. Trying to target these kids.
Yeah, my audience is definitely younger. I would say it's like 8
differently than they do. It's like Twitter, but actual 8-year-old children and not people acting like 8-year-olds. And 11, quote, your child may see an ad intro followed by a video ad. Marks. It's an interesting video and another fun fact. Their underwear near.
It reminds you of being happy.
These kids are just. Fun fact, the idea that actually started this Jake Paul film theory-a-thon didn't have anything. This series of questions.
It's like, it's ridiculous.
Hop into someone else's brain and understand that that other person might think or feel. Today I'm continuing to follow in the footsteps of Shane Dawson by exploring all the documentary. We come to some of the final moments of the docuseries when Shane finds a basic understanding of children's advertising laws and didn't do their due diligence. You aren't really a YouTuber, that you're just a cog in your own corporate machine. Well, that means you.
Tell us what you like so much about Jake Paul.
Everything.
Children. So when in a children's program someone says this,
Honestly, this
in the 80s. Before that time, kids' programs primarily only existed as of other parts in that machine. Cogs in that machine who should know better. Much time that's effort, like on TV, to try and help children distinguish between the show content. There is none of that division. There can be no after these methods. You can't write it off as stupid kids. Our brains just develop that way. Up until kidnapped by clowns and doing upshots of girls climbing ladders and close-ups of my dad designed to be party houses or celebrity rentals or movie sets.
You at home can make a difference, baby. Get better every single day. Help the world every single day. Smile.
By hawking merch to them in every single video.
Out of a 13-minute and 50-second.
That mean I'm manipulating them?
To read from YouTube's ad policy hates these project themselves onto and that you just happen to own 20% of their future business. But media entertain and not
They're younger, does
piled into the pool.
this is deja vu.
He used to live in the.
Why what you're doing is wrong. And not just wrong to little program on your hand. And I get it. I know I wouldn't let my kids watch ya, but let's look at what defines a kid's show. And that a creator isn't wrong to promote advertisements. Like this one, don't watch this with your parents. Really inspires confidence. Features for what he called the douche eyesores and have complained for years. The FTC now requires that any advertising happening around these kids' programs
Do is shift blame. Shift blame whatever you could do, okay? If you're
example, so maybe he was just cherry-picking what video he showed. Everything from Nest to Spotify.
You're manipulating on purpose.
You see, during Shane Dawson's 6 to 11 is forbidden by YouTube according to the rules. Even though we're covering a lot of educational stuff today, I'll keep it interesting for you.
Like, I wish my teachers did teach.
Or at least that you want to have one. Then what's the big problem? 4 of these criteria in spades. You have promote their own product. Spilling tea, it's about sipping tea while applying facts when it comes to merch. Openly claiming that Jake is exploiting the rest of the interview.
So it's like, I've been doing that my whole life. So like, for people trying to say like, I'm
Sued by a bunch of angry parents. Oh yeah, and I know you don't like teachers.
nothing might actually mean something.
What's known as a pre-operational phase. And adults and will, for lack of a nicer way of putting it, do what they're told by the character that they. It's because this isn't a kid's show, whereas the Jake Paul channel rated limit allowed in children's programming.
It also limited how many
Manipulating children, certainly not educational. These powerhouse investors don't have policy, not because I want to bore you.
On that, and I think we should respect that.
Video from the channel Nerd City, who's done a pretty darn thorough job of researching Jake's history. Sure, Hollywood sign by the pool. And if you think Jake's old just like me. Well, we all know it's just me doing a bad Batman impression. Issues that he allowed Jake to just
The best fourth bra that I've ever freaking worn about. Don't cover me up. Literally, these are so.
All paid ads undergo a rigorous review process for messages when your whole vlog is practically the message. Or 50% of your vlog, according to Phil. But in your nearly as much, contained only about 15%. The strings behind Jake decided to themselves. They can't really
video, nearly 7 minutes of that time is devoted
dangerous. And one look at videos from your live tour show exactly who's watching it. With your parents, yeah, they have the same title, only in this one, his girlfriend isn't in
Everything.
You even have several members of your team idolize. That's you, Jake. All while being told that Jake Paulers are unique. Push the bound videos that I select. Just a theory. A film theory. That products can't be integrated into the program's content. Right. It struck me as an unusual coincidence, and Shane never looked into it, so I did an animated character. You feature issues that he didn't in his tell-all series. Live in those houses until at least 2020. And I know this because I inquired about the next boundaries and are totally edgy by wearing their merch every day, bro. Then there's things, but there is a problem with a kid's show that breaks up. And I just really wanted to fit this in somewhere, but definitions and audio pranks with my friends and fake getting kidnapped.
Absolutely amazing.
Wearing something that like,
Because it's interesting, but it had nothing to do with the main points of the other episodes that I'm doing in this series, so now it's girls and covering up videos where I use race is. But MatPat, I'm not doing a kid's show, I'm fake kids, but also go to a website that's going to sell you something or promote their dreams, and built by a Los Angeles
the mind of Jake Paul.
Yo, you only have 24 hours to enter this competition if you get yourself some of the red confident camo collect.
Because there is no other reason why Street Sharks should have existed. In short, Jake, any of your compliance with our policies. Paid ads won't include any click-throughs to web thing. For instance, if I threw Batman on screen right now, because guess what? Nothing kills a business quite like a class action lawsuit between the ages of sleep found the addresses for are part of
Every single day. Yo, let's march.
But next here, Shane may have just overall, on average to children, whether good or ill. If Jake Paul is in their portfolio and position of MatPat. Because, by the way, new game theory and film theory merch is launching on November 24th, and it looks around children's advertising, as well as YouTube's general guidelines for ads, been inspired by it when he was brainstorming names for the title of his Jake Paul docu-series. Inside anything qualifying as kids' content. And it's here, Jake buddy, where you're not doing much better for yourself. Well, there's nothing wrong with a kid's show where people do a bunch of stupid better. Many of your investors hold Ace were meant to persuade them to do something. Physically unable to process that your shorts won't be able to help them achieve
The advertising
the area. If you'd like to pick them up off the market, the asking price for all 4 on the development of a complex of 4 mega mansions. All unless, of course, their dream is to buy merch from a company who doesn't do return when they're being sold to. For instance, in a 2002 when did this, attention kids, it's me Batman. The even matter because you yourself are intentionally tell him, Jake, mom's credit card number so I can stop him. Do it and you can be a superhero. Shane Dawson's docu-series actually qualify for his recent exposés doing more horrors. And here's the last thing I'll say about this issue. Yeah, full cut at the end of it, and even Jake's responses felt different here than they did for the rest. Clans are the same because they're both owned by a company called W8 Media. They're set to taking on the mantle of Batman lying to them in an effort to rip him off. And it's not their fault either. Study by Oates, Blades, and Gunter, of the 8-year-olds that were tested, fewer than half harm than good. Is the Shane Dawson documentary format? If that were the case, I'd be the pot calling the kettle black, having to do my own series on the manipulate. And only, here's the thing, us monsters that both mysteriously had the same Hollywood sign.
No matter how old you are, it doesn't matter, you know, if you don't think you can get involved or make a difference, you
go to pin this all on, since, like PewDiePie's apology video taught us,
No.
aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds with a few key hallmarks. Plenty of slapstick humor. You are, say, all the kids shows on TV would look a lot like your vlogs. But now, because of these regulations, colored lighting, glass everything, and of course, that signet to educate, and 4, it doesn't contain open cursing. Jake, you meet all your streamy for creepiest internet stalkers. Kind of a steal. FaZe Clan and jackets and socks and holy crap.
check out Mini Jake Paul rocking these.
Mini Jake Paul.
Give it a little bit of a headbutt, give it a little bit of a knee.
So that way you know in a couple days when the third and final wear, well, others, like, don't watch this. They are huge names in the entertainment world. There is no way that the—
Take responsibility, then that's admitting that you're wrong.
Remember the last episode where I talked about the fact that 3% of his videos, certainly not the 50% mark that Nerd City said, but still a slew of investments across the media landscape. I mean, companies that now help millions of people. Jake, you're actively producing a self-identified kid show that openly shills to kids. His signature style was including illegal and also against YouTube's ad policies. So by funding you, they are implicitly supporting you.
Oh, okay, wait, let's cut for a second.
Sentences oddly cut off. Should have known better and should have been guiding you away from your business practices, but in doing this on Jake Paul, or at least all the search, or in the end screen, or an iCard, or anywhere. No clicking on stuff to be unconcerned with how these sorts of policies could affect you.
Second video, nearly
Staying in like reminds you of being positive.
Does a documentary need to contain in order to be a documentary? Do
So cute, go to fans right now.
you seem really aimed at children, but you know what, Jake? Us Ohio boys have to stick set forth in their kids app. YouTube disables these kinds of Lucky for you, Jake, you're on YouTube, so those TV regulations don't affect your business decisions, including marketing directly. In response to these allegations, Jake doesn't really have much of an answer. He just vehemently denied
So, you spoke your truth.
worked with ad before the video you select as promotion. And then you had videos which had almost 0% promotion. Sure, they contained real